The first one, fear of uncertainty and risk aversion. One of the most powerful distractions from living a life of purpose is the tendency to avoid uncertainty and discomfort. The desire for safety, predictability, and the familiar can keep you stuck in routines that feel secure but uninspiring. This fear often manifests as hesitation to make bold moves, reluctance to leave comfort zones, or a habit of talking yourself out of pursuing what truly excites you. Living with your heart on fire requires embracing the unknown and being willing to risk failure or discomfort in the pursuit of something meaningful.
Right. So myself, I got out of school. I got a job in corporate America doing finance, banking, foreign exchange, derivatives, and that stuff. So secure with one of the biggest, most secure companies in the world. There was the corporate ladder. I knew what next year looked like. I knew what 5 years down the road looked like. I knew what 10 years down the road looked like. I knew that I was going to be getting a paycheck all the time. I knew what that was going to be. Everything was set. There was very little uncertainty. There's also very little fulfillment or happiness along the way. I left that world and took the risk and jumped into the sea of uncertainty to become an entrepreneur. But that's what Hearts on Fire is about. It's about taking those leaps, and it's really scary and it's really hard. The other thing we kind of know is like you're kind of trading certain levels of uncertainty, right? Or trading certain freedoms, right? There's different levels of this. As an entrepreneur, I have this freedom of work schedule, doing what I want to do, making my own decisions, working with the people that I choose to work with. But that comes with huge levels of uncertainty, risks, where the flip side is just like this, you don't have it all. You're never going to have it all.
Yep.
One of the realizations is that there is always going to be uncertainty. It's always there. And people kind of feel like, well, once I get over that hump, once I make 100K, once I make a 250K, once I make partner, once I get my degree, and they're hoping that when I get to the other side of that, that level of uncertainty will pass.
Yep.
I can say from achieving a whole bunch of these milestones along the way that it doesn't. Even when you have a really nice nest egg and you feel more financially secure, you're like, I hope I don't lose it. It's like the uncertainty stays and just wears a different mask. And maybe just a point on like, uncertainty is crazy. Like there's a study that was done in Nature Neuroscience in 2016 that showed uncertainty triggers more stress than predictable pain. The subjects reported higher anxiety when they might receive an electric shock than when they knew they would receive an electric shock. People would rather wait 10 minutes for a train or a bus, knowing it's 10 minutes. Like think about you get out of the airport, you're waiting for Logan Express.
Yep.
It's the whole Uber thing. They tell you it's going to be 9 minutes before the driver gets to you. And they're taking away that level of uncertainty. They figured this out. They've hacked it. Whereas taxis, even if it might only take 90 seconds to hail a cab, you're like, how long is, I don't know.
Yep.
You would rather wait 9 minutes, knowing it's 9 minutes, than 90 seconds not knowing. We as human beings will do a lot to avoid uncertainty. So it's one of those things that we have to override.
Yeah.
And a lot of it just comes down to accepting certain levels of fear.
I love your point about the certainty of one path doesn't eliminate uncertainty. It just creates or opens the possibility of a different kind of uncertainty. There is no certainty without uncertainty. It's the same thing. And so if you're aiming for certainty and you're making decisions based on certainty, you're just not looking at what the uncertainty is on the other side of that certainty.
So many certainties in that.
So many certainties. But that's kind of the point, which is we need to stop thinking about certainty at all, because it's always there. We will never get rid of it. It's like problems, right? It's like you can't solve a problem and then not have any more problems. You can't make decisions and eventually the uncertainty will disappear. That's not how certainty works. It's like breathing. It's like oxygen. It's always going to be there. And so we need to remove it from our decision set, because if we make decisions based on certainty, we're just fooling ourselves. We're just lying to ourselves. We are just intentionally or not looking at the uncertainty that certainty will bring.
Heather asked me a question a while back, which was somewhere along the lines of, 1 to 10, how happy are you with your life?
Mm-hmm.
Great. That's an awesome question. And my gut response was 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I paused, as I often do. And the thing that came up to me was like, the Phil Stutz stuff. It was like, why did I say 7? And the reason I said 7 was because I wanted less pain, work, and uncertainty.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things that are embedded in human existence, right? Like they're not going away. But that's when right away I was like, well, I would like it if I didn't have to work as much, if I had more freedom. I'd like it if I was higher up the wealth game. So I would have more certainty. That's the reason I wanted that was right away is because if I have that, then I just feel like, and then the last one was work, pain, uncertainty, whatever. And right away I went like, well, wait a minute. Like I'm farther along than in terms of the uncertainty thing than I ever thought I would be. Like I never thought I would reach where I am now. So what am I waiting for to like, and I went, wait a minute, like if you take those things off the table, like the other saying is, which Chris Williamson said, is how many goals have you already achieved that you said would make you happy? You kind of run that through. It's like, okay, my life right now actually is probably like a 9.5 because the uncertainty is not going to go away. I said it would go away when, but I've already gotten that. And I told myself a new story that it'll go away when, and I'm just formulating these stories. They're not going away. So you go like, okay, this is just one of those things that's built into our DNA. Yeah. We just kind of have to live with it no matter where I get to. I was hanging out with some other friends. He's been wildly successful, retired at age 36, made tens and tens of millions of dollars. And you would think that he'd be like, just want to explore freedoms. And the idea was, no, I want to get to, he's so driven to get to the next level, to get to next. And us, we go, that's crazy. What are you talking about? You want to get to next? Like, when is it the thing? And it's the same thing we see with these athletes. Like, okay, you're making $100 million a year. What does it matter if you make 130 or 180? And to them, it's all about wealth and status games. That's built into us. Yep. And that's where we go like, no, because when I get there, and we kind of like, so we're kind of like crossing paths a little bit here, but it is because of the fear of uncertainty that keeps us from living with our hearts on fire, because we go, no, I have to know that I can go and do that thing instead of taking the risk, right? And people don't take risks. And when they do it, they're not kind of raising their hand and going, they're not connecting the dots to like, the reason I'm not taking the risk is because I fear uncertainty. What they'll say is things like, yeah, I should write that book. Yeah, I should start that business. Yeah, we should move to Hawaii. Yes, we should go take that adventure. What they'll say instead is, it's not the right time. Mm-hmm. We need more planning. We need to think about that.
When really what they're saying is, I need to be more certain that it will work.
Well, no, what they're actually saying is, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
What they're saying is, I'm afraid of doing that thing that I say would light me up inside. That thing I say would set my heart on fire. That thing I say is so aligned with my moving to Montana and becoming a fly fishing guide, right? The reason I'm not doing that is because I'm afraid. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid of the risk and the uncertainty associated with it. That's the distraction. Yep. That is the thing that's keeping us from living with our hearts on fire. And I get it. Like, I'm by the way, it's like, I'm not condemning anyone.
No.
We all have it. That's the whole thing, is we have to recognize that these distractions are real, but unless we name them for what they actually are, which is you're afraid. And once you go like, you're afraid, not I need more planning, I need to think about it more, maybe someday, when this happens, it's not the right time. When you go, those are all the language of those that are afraid. Yep. It's okay. Like, that's okay. Now we go like, okay, I'm just afraid to do this. Then you can work with that because we put it on the table. When it's like you haven't said it, it's under the table, and you think you're having another discussion. You think it is when you line this up. You think it is when you cross that other threshold. You think it is when you create enough planning.
You think it's a logical problem to solve.
Correct. Exactly.
We've talked about this sort of 3-step process that needs to happen to chase what truly matters. So again, another phrase that we use all the time. And the first thing, but I think it's exactly the same 3-step process here, which is the first thing is we need to develop the awareness of what sets our heart on fire. We need to understand that. We need to make sure that it's not what our parents said, what culture said, what's popular, whatever else it might be. It is in fact what sets our heart on fire. So that's the first thing, is the awareness piece. And then the second piece is what you're getting at here, which is then we have to have the bravery enough to actually begin to chase it. And that's really, really, really hard for all the reasons we just laid out, right? And then the third part is we need to have the persistence to see it through. And each one of those steps is hard for all their own separate, special reasons. But that's really what's necessary to really all the things we talk about, whether it's building health or a life of happiness or a life of hearts on fire. It's like, what is it that we're trying to get ourselves towards? We have to create the counter programming in our own minds to allow ourselves to do the third step, which is stick with it when it gets hard, because it's always going to get hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Most people don't do the first step, right? They're just pre-programmed that I'm going to be a doctor, got to make $500,000 and get the white picket fence. And they don't go truly, what's the thing that's going to set me on fire? Brene Brown has a quote that you can be safe or you can be brave.
I love that.
But you can't be both. Being brave is risky, right? But being brave there's so much payoff to that. We are programmed to be in the box. We are programmed to be cattle. We are programmed to be ants marching. Just go do the thing, from the school system all the way on up. And I get it, because what your parents are, they're just hedging their bets.
They're going back to certainty.
They're going back to certainty. If you become a doctor or a lawyer, I know that you're not going to end up a vagabond. I know you're not going to end up on the streets, right? Whereas if you try to be a musician, oh God, if you go and become a surfing instructor, oh no. If you go and lead people on hikes in the Sahara Desert, oh no. They're just trying to play it safe. But you can be safe, or you can be, so another way is you can take the risks and live with your heart on fire, or you can be distracted and be in a box.
Do people take hikes in the Sahara?
I don't feel
like if my
you
kids
don't wreck
did
my
that.
stories. Everyone listening was like, yeah. But that's why it's
one.
risky.
It's very risky, actually.
Yeah, you got to bring a camel. Yeah.
That
That metaphor went somewhere else. I was gonna do it as a safari.
I liked it. I was
gonna do safari, and then I was like, no, that's not enough. Let's go Sahara. And in mid-S word, I changed it.